Hello, ladies and gentle folks. Lion Flood here with Natalie, and we're trying something new today, right? I've always pushed the boundaries. You guys know me, and we're talking a couple of different things, but the main focus is course creation, right? So if you are a person who's ever thought about creating a course, want to create a course, this is the place to be because we're going to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, mistakes, the process along this. I don't want to say frustrating thing because I don't want to make anyone feel like they can't do it, but
Yeah.
challenge. Is that a better word? Challenge. What word would you kind of give it? The process of that.
We would call it hurdles and challenges.
Hurdles are right. So we're like in the Olympics. You know the Olympic people where they go whoop, one hurdle, next hurdle. So they be doing it. So um, before we begin, though, I'd like to maybe just ask you to take, maybe 30 seconds, a minute to kind of just introduce yourself, who you are, what you do. So that way, when someone's watching this and looking at it, they can just know who you are truly, right? Because they don't really get that when we're just in a question mode of an interview or whatever, right? And I don't want it to be an interview, but just saying that so they understand. But just take a few moments. The floor is yours. I want you to let it people know who they are and why they should listen to you. Go ahead and take that floor.
Mm. Well, thank you. Thank you again for having me. My name, Natalie Lamb. I am a life coach, a relationship coach, and a grief coach. And they all really just intersected as my career kind of took its own path, right? I believe in like these come to you as they come, and you either jump along and play those cards that are dealt to you, or you get frustrated in the process. So I started off really dealing with I parents, and I started teaching parenting classes, and then from there I just kind of moved to personal development classes, and moved to pre-marriage classes, and moved to marriage counseling, and moved to families, and so it was just this process of really just gaining insight as I went with all of the clients that I had. um, Fast forward, and my mom passes away in 2002. And then from there, I had to understand what grief was, what was the process, how do I do this? And from there, I really just started really researching, investigating it, looking at it not just from the Western perspective, but looking at it from also, tribal ways, and the Native Americans, and all of the other different cultures that really embrace mourning and grieving. And so I decided to implement that first for myself because I had to figure out this process of grieving. And then I started having grief classes, and grief groups and support groups. And from there, it just kind of bled into everything else. And what you learn about with grief, that is, grieving is everywhere. Like, we start grieving when we're really little, and we often don't give it that title, but every loss should be grieved. It should be mourned. It should be given voice. And when you take on that concept with all the things that happen in our lives, then you understand how important it is to um, incorporate the concepts and the understanding of what grieving and mourning really is. Well, from there, you keep going with life, and everything keeps happening, and you add in more. And I'm a believer that my clients are my teachers as well, and they are helping me learn, explore new and amazing things. So I then recently published two books. It's going to be a six-book series called The Wisdom Chronicles. And so that has been like really exciting to be able to put my thoughts onto paper, and then to be able to put it out to the public for them to be able to see it. But that's like a synopsis. I'm sure as we keep going, we'll talk about it. We are talking about course creation. So I also have two courses. The first one is how to be a better human. And then the second one is uniquely yours, creating your marriage your way.
Yes, I love that. And thank you for sharing all of that because there were some keen points when you were mentioning it. And I truly believe that, right? Like, one of the things that I found is that we do not deal with or talk about the passing, of our loved ones or of anyone, right? It's like a, whereas in other cultures, because I've traveled a lot, it is almost like a passage, rite of passage, is a proud thing, and of
Yeah.
course we're still hurt by it, but so anyways, but yeah, we won't get too deep in that. But I just want to mention that I really appreciate that because I truly believe in that. Uh, there's too many times where people don't talk about it at a certain stage, and
Hmm.
then next thing you know, life insurance or something, people are fighting over things. So, but anyways, yeah, I was attracted when I saw the name of your course, and that was for me was one of the main things when you said how to be a better human, or maybe not directly the name of the course, but when I saw that name, I was like, it's such a, it's like, yeah, it's a simple thing, right? Like we want to be better. So let's start off with
Yeah.
this. Let's what Give me one name of the course because you said you have two. Give me one course. Oh no, let's talk about your first one. What was the process of you first starting to even saying I want to design a course? Was it you saw maybe an ad, you just thought like someone else out there would need this? What was that process of you starting of that course?
Well, I've been um, creating courses since like the 90s. When I first started the process of like counseling and teaching, I used to host classes, and some of the material that I would get would not be as digestible for the clients that I had and the students that I had. And so I would always go in and tweak it, recreate it, add in more flavors that my students would be able to grasp. So from there, I mean, I've literally been writing classes for like 20 years. With this new thing, right? With the digital age, and you're able to then record your classes and put them up and all of that. Then it's like, oh wow, this is exciting because then it doesn't necessarily have to be where everyone has to come to you. You can reach people well outside your demographics, right? And in your local area. And so that was like really intrigued to create classes. One of the things they said was, your first one, make sure it's, kind of concise, that is sweet, that is easy to obtain. Most of my courses are from like 8 weeks to like 16 weeks. So they're long courses. So this was a little challenge for me because I had to make it short.
Right.
So, how to be a better human is like just 5 steps on how to implement that into your life. And that was different to be short and concise, but precise in the
So
same way.
So a quick question then. You know what? I'm gonna ask it two different ways. One, because since you mentioned you were doing courses, back in the '80s and so forth, is it a shock to you now from when you started that to how, I don't want to say how easy it is, but technology has made it more proficient, I guess. Is it a big shock from back then to now to make the course?
Okay, 90s. You didn't really age me. Okay, 90s is when I started.
Well, producers, cut that part. What? We're live? Oh, okay, never mind.
No, keep it. No, it is I think intriguing more that
Okay,
you have this, formats where you can easily add in all the different steps, and they have made it really simple. Right now,
yeah,
you still have to come up with the content, right? So
right,
you still have to be able to produce what you need to produce and write it in a way where people can digest it and
yeah,
jump onto it. I think that part of it never is going to change. I
okay,
think if you don't know how to put courses together, if you don't know how to write, if you don't know how to break it down enough where people can obtain it, I don't care what kind of digital you have. I just don't
yeah,
think that the biggest part is content, right?
yeah.
Like, how do I create all these words and put them together and make it fit? But I love the fact that now it's so simplistic. And I think that is, there's a lot of people that have, great things to teach. And like, aren't we all kind of teachers in our own way, no matter what, career we're in or life experiences we have is still like somebody, you always have something you can teach somebody. So learning how to do that, and most of the platforms kind of give you a step by step of how to do it. You just got to learn how to follow directions and just kind of work through that. But it's a beautiful, I think, design of being able to just keep people learning. I think one thing that sometimes we miss as we become adults and we get out of our traditional setting of classes in college and having education just for a career basis is this lifelong endeavor to be learners. I think we give up so much of free will learning with the way the educational system is. And it's like, you got to take these tests, you got to pass it, you learn the information just for this period of time, but you don't have a desire and a love for learning. And I think with having all these courses available, you can learn so many things. Things that you probably didn't even know you could be interested in, but you could just take a course and jump into it and learn. And learning is, I mean, it makes your life so much better. It broadens your mind. It gives you different perspectives. And I mean, that's a huge part, I think, even in being a better human, is deciding to
Yeah.
be a lifelong learner. Yeah.
Right. And all of those things, when you were saying that, it really kind of got me to thinking even more, because that lifelong learning, for an example, especially now, and again, I don't know prior because I didn't do courses or anything back then, but the term evergreen comes to my mind, right? Because now
Mm,
you can have that where, and I'm pretty sure it was still accessible all the time, in the 90s.
mm,
So, but maybe not as easily. And I think now, with the pace that everyone wants, if something is hard to find, or I guess overwhelming, people want to go and look for something else, right? And so,
yeah.
would that have a maybe a little kind of influence on? You say you shortened the five practical steps. Matter of fact, I'm gonna bring that up, and kind of, would you kind of touch on that as people look at this? This is one of your web
Yeah.
pages that you can kind of tell people about and how this started.
Yeah. So I mean the concept of making it short and concise was really a challenge only because I'm used to giving a whole lot of information. But with this, it was okay, how do I get the most precise information to give you what I want you to know in a quick format so that you will come back for more, right? And so that's the concept of it. So it is this simple, quick kind of videos, give you everything that you have. Um, Able to walk through it really simply and easily applicable, because I think that's one thing that as a course creator, especially for these types of courses, you want it to be something that people can easily put in their pocket and be able to carry with them. You don't want it to be too um, what's the word I want to use? Too complex that you have to think too hard. I wanted it to be quick things that you can say. Okay, so like the first one is living the day, right? Like just that concept of slowing down, taking in these 24 hours, living in the day is something really simple that you can kind of grasp and put in your pocket, right? The other one of the other ones is life isn't fair. And like we all heard that, but just to have this simple thing of the fact that life isn't fair and that sometimes things are going to happen to you, but you still got to deal with the cards that have been dealt to you and you have to keep rolling. One of you have up is, except we don't always get what we deserve. Like sometimes hard things come. It doesn't mean you deserved it. It doesn't mean it's your fault. It just simply means that life hits everybody and none of us get around that, but we are still responsible for
Yeah.
how we respond to everything, right? So, like
Right.
those simple little concepts, you can take that in and be like, okay, look, you can put it on a post it and keep rolling with your life and say,
Right.
let me just apply that as you move forward. So that was that concept of making it short
Right.
so that it would be very attainable.
Yeah, and I love that because it seems is. it's like you're kind of catering to both sets, right? People who still want long form, people who still want to maybe be engaged in something longer and more meaningful. But then let's also reach someone who just says, you know what, give me some quick bites, right? Give me a snack. I just
Yeah.
want a little snack of it. So now we've talked about the good. Let's talk about some of the bad, right? What are some pitfalls? You've
Yes.
got someone out there who's probably listening to this, or who may be thinking to themselves, you know what? I've got a great idea for a course. I want to start a course. What are some things you may want to tell them to kind of prep for, to watch out for, some of those little things for those hurdles so they could jump over.
Yeah. I do think the one thing is that you really do a great outline yourself of all the steps you want to be able to convey to your audience. You want to be as precise as possible in your creating, right? And that way you sometimes you just have to sit down and brainstorm, right? Like throw all the ideas out there, all the different ways you can convey one concept, because there's many ways, right, that we can convey one concept, and then you work through it. You walk yourself through each one. You decide, should I keep this? Should I let this one go? Is this one coming off well? For me, then after I have the content, then it's moving on to like the more technical stuff, which is not my strong horse, of being able to sit down and, videotape all your messages. And, I'm used to, before I did this, I'm used to talking in front of an audience, right? I'm used to talking to people, feeling their energy, having it come back, seeing in their eyes that they got the concept. When you do it just a video, it's just you, right? It's just you talking to you. You trying to put your personality in it too, so that it does feel like it's live and they are in a classroom, not you just reading a script. So that was a little bit of a challenge to like have the same energy on video that I have in front of an audience. And then, the technical part of editing it and making sure your sound is right and your videos are clear and you're lit well and all of those things that, everyone doesn't have like that technical side of them to be able to do it. And everybody says, oh, it's easy. You just grab this little program, throw your stuff in there and edit it. And I was like, oh, okay, that didn't. I mean, thank God my husband's an editor, so I was able to go
Yeah.
pull his little expertise, and he was able to make me look a little prettier and clean it up and cut it off in the right space and all of that. But without that, that is a true hurdle that people can run into, of just the technical side of putting it all together
Yeah.
after you have the content.
Yeah.
And then, you come up because you have to have like the advertisement on it. And you have to say the right words. You're trying to convey it in a way that people will read it and pull it
Right.
in and say, yeah, that's something that I think I need. And all of that, marketing is also not my strong suit.
So
But
true.
right, it's like all of those concepts that go along with the course, because you could have an amazing course
Hmm.
and you could have everything look good, but if the marketing is not good, then you kind of fall flat,
Yeah.
right? And it's not going anywhere. And so then that becomes a challenge. And then, in this day and age, there's gimmicks everywhere. There's people that are trying to sell you this, and that. And if you're not like really knowledgeable about a certain industry, you can easily be fooled, right? You can give your money away and then you get nothing out of it. And it's like, how do you vet this? Because everyone's saying they're the best. Everyone's saying they know what they're doing. And then you're sitting there and then you didn't, wasted a bunch of money on something that you have nothing in the end. And I think that's part of the hurdles, though. I do think it's a learn and a fail and a learn and a fail that ends up happening as you progress on, and then you get a little timid about trying new people, and everyone's got this thing of come, let me do you, let me show you how to do it, and then it's like, ah, do I trust this again? So I think it's all those concepts. If we talk about the hurdles and the challenges, it's not just creating, but it's the technical, and then after the technical is completely fixed, then how do I market it? And who do I give this to, and what, how do I bring people to, the amazing work that I think every creator thinks they have, right? Like, how do I get you to sit with me and walk through this and then share it with other people? Because, you can take it, get all the information, but if you don't pass it on
Right.
to the next person, then it's flat, right? Because
Yeah.
as we know, your best advertisement is word of mouth. It
Yeah.
is, especially in my field. It is somebody saying she helped me, she changed my perspective, she let me see life different. Call her up, take her course. Without that, then it's just advertisement on a paper, and everyone's saying kind of the same stuff.
Right. And you know what? That is, it's I don't know if there is one out there, but you just gave me a great idea. I was like, there should be a playbook out there to tell people how to do course. Make a course for people that want to do courses, so they can follow your course. I like that. I'm going to start that today. Trademarked. Called it trademarked. No, but no, all of those things. When I first started, like we talked before, I told you I kind of went down that path. Right? I was like, oh, build an idea. Let me just make a course. I don't know how to do it. Let me Google, and then I started, and no one got it. And then I got a coach
Yeah,
who was teaching me how to do it. But like you said, I'm great, and I'm this, that, or the other, and I didn't know how to research, and so I fell
I
into that as
know.
well. And so that's what, like I said, that's why I wanted to do something like this, right? So people who may have that idea can come on and even ask questions, and we're working to build it up so people can say, I need to come to this because here's what I found out. One of the great things about courses, especially evergreen, it's going to take you. And again, if I'm not correctly, if I'm not correct, let me know or add or subtract. It's going to take you some time to get there, but once you get there, now you have, in essence, a a product that still can make you money even while you're sleeping, right? Because now once
Yeah,
you've got the marketing, once you learn that and get it out there, and rinse, wash, and repeat, as they call it, right? So you don't have to stress that much on some other stuff. You can still go do the 9 to 5 or whatever other job or whatever you're
yeah.
doing, and now your product is still making you money. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a great, side hustle for anybody that, has their career based in whatever industry, and they're like, let me just do some teaching tools along with it to help other people in whatever your industry is. And yeah, it once it gets going and people are logging on, I mean, you're not touching it anymore, right? All the grunt work, all the hard stuff that you put forth, it really does last forever because the course is forever there, and people can come, a year, 5 years, 10 years from now, and still be able to be enriched by the courses that are there for them to be able to obtain, which is a beautiful thing. A beautiful thing for people bring coming in, right, and need to learn great concepts. Then a beautiful thing for the creator to be able to have, hopefully it becomes really successful, where they have this income coming in that allows them to divert to other areas to continue to build up on their career and their passions, because some of these courses are really passion based, right? And it's like, this is like what I love, this is I want other people to fall in love with, this is how I want to change, kind of the world in a way, especially if you have a 9 to 5 where you're just, bringing home a check, but you have these passions and you have these other things that you want to touch the world with. Like, of course, creation is something that you can do that, that you put your like mark on the world, because I think it's beautiful to do that in whatever way you do it, to be able to bring people into your world and then you to be able to touch so many other people, with the ability to teach them all these amazing things. You think about all the concepts in the world and all the niches and all of the expertise out there. There's so much that we don't know, right? There's so much that we are ignorant to. And I love ignorance because ignorance simply just means I don't know. But once I'm aware I'm ignorant, I can go find the solutions, right? I can go
yeah,
find the information. And that's key to being a lifelong learner, is understanding that I have ignorance in so many places, And that's not a negative. It just is,
Right.
to me, it's just a light bulb saying, go find some answers,
Yeah.
and out there, that's just a wonderful way to live and to enrich your own life,
Yeah.
right? To be able to add new nuggets into your own being.
Yeah, we don't know what we don't know, right? And all of that is absolutely amazing. I love hearing it. So, and we're going to talk about some books here in just a second. And but you said something, and it made me start to think, because I would get people to ask me like, "Well, I don't know what to make a course on, or how to." And I said, "Passion, right? Find something you're passionate about,
Yeah.
because otherwise you're going to get burnout if you're only thinking about doing it for money. Yeah, that might work
Money.
for a little while, but then, but if you're passionate about it, people can feel it. They can sense it when you're talking about it. And so
Yeah.
that's my number one thing. If you don't know what to make a course on, first find something you enjoy, that you're passionate about, and then find a need that you can help someone with, right? So, for an example, um, you said this earlier about not being as maybe technical and stuff like that. So I thought to myself, I kept hearing it. I said, well, why don't I just in essence be a remote producer? Why don't I have people
Mm.
come on and then I just operate all of the tech for them so they can just focus on the content? And I was like,
Yeah.
bingo, there it is. And so I started that. So let's talk really quick about a couple of these books right here that you have. Tell the audience about this, and then I think you have a second one as well.
Yeah, so this is the Wisdom Chronicles. This is the first book that I released called Open Your Eyes. And it is a book of wisdom. It is really tangible things that you can apply to your life. You don't really talk about wisdom and character, integrity, fortitude, those things that need to be really foundational in our lives. But it's also, with this book in particular, is pushing us to open our eyes and see. If you're blind to anything, then you can't even find the solutions that you need. There's some parts of our lives that we choose blindness on because it's too painful to look at. But if you look at it from the perspective that in me seeing it gives me the ability to be able to solve it, to resolve it, or to release it, then I'm in a better, more powerful position than me choosing blindness. So it is a walk through how to open your eyes, and it really touches on almost all the aspects of our lives. And it's a great read. It's very tangible. You will, if you can apply the concepts, you can transform your life. It is also books that will go with you throughout life. So there may be a section of it that you read and you're like, that's not, applicable right now, or I haven't dealt with that, or I'm not going through that. And you will come back a year later, right? 6 months later, 5 years later, and you'll pick up the book again and read it, and you'll be like, oh my God, that's exactly what I needed to hear, right? That's exactly the information that and perspective that I needed in order to be able to see this more clearly. Um, the second book is called What I Want You to Know. And this book I wrote over the life of my daughters. And I started it as my mom passed away when my daughter was 18 months, and I was 26 years old. And so my concept was, if I were to pass younger than what I wanted to, and my kids had not reached, full adulthood, and I couldn't answer all the questions, I just wrote down everything. In this book, I literally wrote in my phone everything that would come up. I would just jot it down. Like, okay, I'm watching the news. Okay, add this concept. Friend stuff, add this concept. If when you start dating, look at this. When you decide you want to get married, add this into it. When you decide you want to have kids, do this. How do you live better, right? How do you take these concepts that will fortify your life to help you be resilient, to help you be able to really carry a good life throughout life? Take this and run with it, right? And so when I finished it, I gave it to my daughter. I just like did a quick print up when she went to college and gave it to her. And then I was like, well, let me add this to the series, because even though I gave it to her at 20, however old she was, 19, or however they are when they go to college, um, it's something that you can grow with throughout your life as well. Like each one of these books really are lifelong books that you can pick up at any time, flip through, find some concepts, and really transform your life, because that's the hope, to help us just be better humans, right? Like all around and everything I do, the hope is that we become better, in simple concepts, simple yet complex sometimes, because it's not always easy to change your perspective. But if you can change your perspective, if you can see life through many vantage points, you really will have a much more rich, fulfilling, um, beautiful life, even with the hurdles, even with the heartaches, and even with the pain, because none of us get to erase those things. But they add wealth to your life in a way that maybe is not tangible, right? I'm not putting money in anybody's pocket, but I can add to you a wealth of being a great human, of having integrity and character, and build your relationships up. And these two books that are now released, um, you should grab them and read them, and share them with others. It really are really, really good concepts.
That's so great, and I appreciate that. But where can people find them at? Or let them know so they can reach out to you.
So the books in there are on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. You can also find it on my website, www.natalielamb.me. And then my courses are on iyconline.com.
Okay, perfect. I sincerely appreciate that because, we touched on different aspects of courses, books, life, everything, and I really think, especially nowadays, right, and even before, but especially nowadays, everyone can use some sort of positivity. Everyone can find little nuggets to make themselves better. 1% every day, change maybe
Right.
where you sit at, how long you sit, just something. I think we get so overwhelmed that we have to try to fix everything right away. And it's like, hey, that steak is too big to eat it at
Yeah.
once, right? Cut it up, and grab some information from those books. Like you said, maybe something doesn't pertain right now, but 6 months, a year, 5 years, whatever, you pick it up again and you go like, oh, there it is, right? So there it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give you the last word because we'll get ready to wrap it up. Anything you want to maybe share to anyone, let them know about some upcoming events. If you have a webinar or summit or anything that's coming up, just whatever you want to let the people know. The floor is yours.
Well, you know what? The concepts that I want to leave with people is really invest in your life. Invest in making your life more rich, not just materially, but in every way that makes our life better. Our relationships are our greatest wealth. If you have strong, secure relationships, you can ride many, many storms than when you're just out there by yourself. And relationships and being better people is not something that we talk about a lot, right? Like there's no education that's like really pushing you to say, hey, this is how I become a better person, or this is how I become a better spouse or parent. I'm talking about like in our traditional schooling. So you have to make it important to you, right? You have to be willing to invest. You have to be willing to go out there and get the information. It's not going to just fall on your lap. I mean, like this is falling on your lap, so you could take it and become better with it. But invest in learning, invest in becoming better. Find the stuff. Everything is not going to ever fit you 100%. One thing my dad used to say is chew the meat and spit out the bones. So learn that concept in life, to take the good, release the bad, but keep enriching your life. Read books, right? Take courses, support other people, get coaching, right? Let me give you my own pub. Get coaching, because don't just do it when your life falls apart. Do it throughout your life. And that will help it not fall apart so much, right? It'll give you skills that we sometimes don't discuss, but those things that really do make our life more rich, more loving, more secure, more peaceable, more safe, right? And so if you're have the opportunity, go to my website, buy the books, Contact me if you do need a life or relationship or grief coach. And we can hopefully connect and we can start spreading this goodness. Each one teach one, each one touch one to make this world a better place. And thank you, Lion, for having me. It's
Yeah.
been a pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. When I first spoke with you and I was like, I just had this idea and I'm just one of those people. I got an idea, let's run with it. It works, it works, it doesn't, it doesn't. I learn from it. I chew the meat and spit the bone out and then reassess and I keep going but I really wanted to do this just because I know that, people, we struggle out there and it's nice just to hear good words and find something that we can connect with. So yeah, maybe in the future, if this gets some good response, we might, you know, do it again and just
Yeah.
keep on rolling with it. So I appreciate this, and I thank you so very much for being a part of it, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up. I want you to hold on for me for 1 second and stay with me. I'm gonna come right back to you. Okay? Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, thank you all for coming and watching this. Hopefully, we can grow this. If you know someone that this can benefit, share it, pass it along. We're going to be bringing other course creators on, other counselors, coaches, whatever, just to try to get some positivity out of that. So thank you all for being a part of this, and you guys enjoy the rest of the day. And as I always tell you, make sure that you keep living while you are alive.